From the studio in Nitro, West Virginia, this is Unreasonable Doubt. It's a podcast about West Virginia University basketball. I'm Josh Witt, and this is exclusive. We're a couple days out from West Virginia's last game. I'm late. West Virginia's on their bye week. I was on my bye week. Did not watch this game live. Was in the beautiful state of Florida, chilling all the way down. Can I see myself as an older person on a beach with a metal detector? I don't want to answer that, but signs point to yes. Chilled all the way down, did not consume West Virginia basketball until I returned to Nitro, West Virginia. And what I saw was not surprising and did not feel terrible about what I watched. And I can tell you that it's just me and you. Nobody's listening to this a couple of days after the game. It's just us. Let's just let our hair down and just talk like I'm not talking into a microphone. It's just me and you talking. That wasn't bad. Was it bad that Texas Tech felt like they made every three they took in the first half? Yeah, that felt bad. But West Virginia didn't do one of those 7-minute scoring droughts or anything. It's just they dug a hole, as they've been doing, and Texas Tech really good at basketball, and West Virginia didn't quit. Texas Tech was better and didn't have anybody have a really off game. And you need that against a good team. You either have to create that or they've got to help you out. And West Virginia this season, it doesn't feel like a ton of teams want to help them out. And they have no obligation to do that. So I've got a lot of good and I've got a lot of bad from this game. The good news is that West Virginia broke 60 for the first time in weeks. They got to 63. But that's more than 60. And so that's nice to see. The bad part is Texas Tech scored 70. And now West Virginia's lost 2 straight at home. And in the math to the bubble, you gotta beat Texas Tech or BYU. You didn't beat Texas Tech. Puts a lot of emphasis when we get there to beating BYU in Morgantown. Another good thing, I told you West Virginia didn't have a 7-minute scoring drought. Individually, we had a scoring drought, a field goal drought, and it's Honor Huff. And Honor Huff is running around crazy, and Texas Tech had a guy running around crazy with him. How many good looks did Honor Huff have? Did he have one open look? 2, but 1 didn't count because Obioha got called for an offensive foul. He did some playmaking in spots, and then sometimes he was getting away from the action to give other guys space. But Honor Huff had a 40-minute field goal drought. And by my count, in the last 5 halves of WVU basketball, Honor Huff was held without a field goal in 4 of those 5 halves. And I think he's the leading scorer by average. And if your leading scorer doesn't make a field goal in 80 out of 100 minutes, that's not sustainable. Or you got to have other guys fill in that void. And you see it. Honor gets it to Jasper Floyd, and it's like, hey, Jasper Floyd, shoot a 3. And Jasper Floyd doesn't want to do that. And I don't blame him. He shoots it all right, but I don't want him to shoot shots he doesn't want to shoot. But somebody's got to make the baskets if Honor Huff isn't going to make a field goal. And you got a couple guys to do that. You need more. And Honor Huff is still good at basketball. I can't imagine if this is what it is. And again, it's just me and you talking. if this is what it is and Honor Huff is just like 1 out of every 3 halves, he's gonna have a blitz of like 15 points. That's not good for the last 7 games. Do you see the path of if Honor Huff is being where it's difficult for him to get a shot up, and yet he can still contribute to winning and facilitating, and like that can be done. So in 3 games, West Virginia's lost 2 of those, but they won 1. And so they can win, but the one that they won, that was one of the halves where he went off. The one for the last 5 halves. Not great. Credit was given and should have been given to the Texas Tech guy that was all over him all game. What West Virginia is at their best when Honor Huff can hit tough shots and he can get his. And that's been rough the last 3 games. There's more games to play. And West Virginia's on a bye week. So Honor Huff gets to rest up. Maybe they can figure out some stuff, how to get Honor Huff going in like 2 straight halves of, not that he doesn't have to like have the 50-point game, but just something a little more consistent. And even if it's not scoring, which I'm harping on, contributing to good offense. And did you think the offense looked bad today? There were a handful of merry-go-round possessions where multiple kind of pivots around trying to figure out where to throw the ball or shoot it over a guy defended. But they got to 63. They also shot 2 for $1,000,000 from 3. Not a great recipe. And of course, the other team shot the 3 ball really well, which has happened with regularity all season long against this defense that has its spots where it looks good and gets stops. That first half was rough, seeing all those 3s fall. Harlan Obioha, his name was pronounced correctly all game. I didn't expect him to be guarding Toppin as much as he did. There was a couple of things where Harlan just can't cover the pick and roll that great. But I thought he did all right against the reigning Big 12 Player of the Year. And overall, both sides of the ball, Obioha, best game since the Colorado game. So it's good to see that from Obioha. He didn't seem like he took breaks, but he was in there, it seemed like quite a bit, playing against the best in the league, one of the best in the league. And it wasn't night and day. That guy's great. That guy isn't. It was Obioha held his own. And that was great to see. Trayson Eaglestaff, defensively, fell down a couple of times. His guy got open on defense a couple of times. And that's not new. But that's okay. But he was also held to single-digit scoring for the 3rd straight game. And so that's not great. And Brendan Laureate, he finished all the shots. Like, Laureate scored over 20 and was the recipient of Honor Huff getting pressed and guys getting it to him close to the basket or him creating on his own. He finished over Toppin a couple of times, and he did well. Laureate was a big contributor, scored, by my count, about a third of West Virginia's points, all close to the rim. Good to see him finish. DJ Thomas, who made clutch shots and helps West Virginia win that game at Cincinnati, he couldn't throw it in the ocean. He's like, I'm open. I've done this before. Here I go. Air and like not close. Like he shot 3 threes. 2 of them were air balls. The other one wasn't close. DJ Thomas is a freshman. That's how it works as a freshman. That's not going to be a lottery pick. The good news is that West Virginia, with 2 straight home losses, with Honor Huff not having a field goal in 4 out of the last 5 halves. They still have a winning record in Big 12 play. They are still in the top half of this conference in the standings. Look at it. Check it out. West Virginia, there's 16 teams, and West Virginia is in the top 8. Now, they're in a mix with a number of teams that if they keep going, win one, lose one, or if they have another losing streak here, then they are in the top half until they're not. And so the good news is that there's 7 games left. A lot of those games are against teams that are close to them in the standings, and only one in that kind of upper echelon, BYU, who is closer to WVU than the top of the league. Like, BYU's not going to win the Big 12 regular season championship, and they have an amazing freshman, and we'll get to BYU later. But West Virginia still in the top half of the Big 12, one of the best conferences in college basketball. Ken Pomeroy still has them third behind the SEC and Big 10. That's debatable. If you're not a computer and you're a human being, where you put the Big 12. Got to this game late and was not discouraged by what I saw from WVU. They ditched that whole super long scoring drought thing, and they have chances to stay in the top half of the conference. But it's a bye week, and West Virginia has almost a full week to not play basketball before getting back to it Saturday, 6 p.m., Fox Sports 1. Can we just soak it up, all of these games that are not on ESPN+? Yes, there's a Peacock game coming. Yes, there's one more ESPN Plus game coming. I would rather have that than the VIP experience of having a lot of their games on ESPN Plus. So I'm enjoying the season for that. And this was on Fox Sports 1. West Virginia will go on the road to Orlando. So another game in the Eastern time zone, and West Virginia will play the Central Florida Knights. Central Florida is currently predicted to be an NCAA tournament team. They are an 8 seed currently in bracket matrix, and they have some impressive wins. And West Virginia and Central Florida share the honor of the 2 teams that have given Kansas a loss at Big 12 play, and the only 2 teams that have beaten Kansas in Big 12 play. That's right, West Virginia and Central Florida. And Central Florida goes to Cincinnati on the same day West Virginia was hosting Texas Tech. And West Virginia and Cincinnati, neither team broke 60 in their game. The Bearcats put 92 on the Central Florida Knights. 92. All 5 starters for the Bearcats, double-digit scoring. Sincere Harris, are you sitting down? He hit a 3 against the Knights. 1 of 1 from 3. And I enjoy the work of Sincere Harris, and also know if he made a 3 against you, there's a good chance you're not going to win. Is that great for WVU? I don't think so. That Central Florida also is on their bye week. They're coming off of a 20-point loss to Cincinnati, and they get home, and they have home losses. Central Florida's only home losses are to Arizona and to Vanderbilt, both really, really good at basketball. And they're going to try to shake off a 20-point loss and play WVU in Orlando. And West Virginia went to Orlando a couple of seasons ago. That didn't go well in the interim season. This season, Central Florida, they were able to beat that Texas Tech team in Orlando as well as Kansas. Their profile in Ken Pomeroy's computer, it looks a lot like Baylor. And how'd that game go? Not great. That is one of West Virginia's 2 home losses was against Baylor. Central Florida, brand new roster, just like WVU compared to last season. They shoot the 3 extremely well, but they don't shoot a ton of threes. They rebound the ball really well. Their defensive numbers aren't great. So all that sounds like Baylor, and the Baylor game didn't go well. Central Florida coming off of a loss. Unreasonable Doubt is under the Smoking Musket umbrella. Go to smokingmusket.com. Read posts about WVU sports, daily throwdown. Check that out. Go to the Discord. We're talking about WVU sports and other stuff on the Smoking Musket Discord. Link for that is in the show notes. Listen to West by Pod, the WVU football podcast under the Smoking Musket umbrella. Do all that stuff. Smoking Musket. West Virginia, in their path to the bubble, now they have to beat BYU at home, and they've got to get another road win. And this would be as good of any. Of the 4 games they have left on the road, it's Central Florida, Texas Christian University, Oklahoma State, and Kansas State. This would be the best looking one. There's a frog court curse. Oklahoma State, they are on the bubble. But this one would look the best. So just resume-wise, going to Orlando and maybe Honor Huff making some field goals and Trace and Eaglestaff maybe making some field goals and Central Florida falling in line with what the defensive metrics say about them, and West Virginia, that it looks good on the resume. Good wins. Home versus Kansas, at Central Florida. That's a good start. You got to have more in that category, but if you had that, that's not bad. That's a good start. But the issue is Central Florida shoots the 3 really well, and West Virginia, and this is not like a recent trend, West Virginia, for the season, other teams shoot really well against them from 3. And so you would imagine that Central Florida and Coach Dawkins, who I love the work of Coach Dawkins, I think he should be at Central Florida for life. He's got to say, guys, we're going to have open looks from 3, and we shoot the 3 well. So let's just do that, and we can score a bunch against West Virginia, and we can handle the Mountaineers easily. That's what Coach Dawkins, who I admire as a coach, I think he can stay at Central Florida as long as he wants. That is something I'm sure they're going to talk about. Can West Virginia get a good resume win that would look good in a bubble resume? We'll find out. That's it for this episode of Unreasonable Doubt. Listen on all the platforms or just pick one. Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, Overcast Podcasts, Pocket Cast Podcasts, YouTube. Until next time, I'm Josh Witt, WVU for the 2025-2026 season. They have 15 wins and they have 9 losses.